Hello, Tracy here with a layout using the Classy Girls kit, which was the August Scraptastic kit. I'm just looking through some of the embellishments and some of the paper scraps that I have on the top of my box that I keep my kit in. And I'm just looking for things that might go with some of these photos. At this point, I don't know which photos I'm going to be scrapbooking, but they're all from the same day, and I'm kind of trying to decide if I want to do them all on one layout or if I want to kind of spread them across a couple of layouts. There's a lot of photos there, so I do have my own copy of the Hello Again collection, like I bought the collection separate, and so I'm thinking about doing a double pager, and that's what I'm going to end up doing. So I just went into my own stash and pulled out a second copy of that paper. It's the chevron paper. It's called, because there's chevron on the back side, it's called Hello Chevron. It's from the Hello Again collection from Cartabella. And one piece came in the kit, and if you got the paper add-on, you might have two pieces in your kit. So I'm just laying out the photos in a way that looks pleasing to my eye, and I'm going to mat them on a piece of cardstock just from my stash, just white cardstock. The kit didn't come with white cardstock this time around, sometimes it does. And so I want these photos to be pretty easy to maneuver around the layout. Excuse my head there for a minute, I just had to get it cleared. What I'm showing you there is that I'm putting half of a border on the left side, and so half the width of the border is what I mean. And so I'll show you again in a second. So there's a fairly wide border, like maybe 1/8 of an inch or a little bit more than that, around most parts of this, and then on the left side is half, because I'm going to leave half on the other side as well, and then together the two will make a border that's the same width as the rest of it. So I'm keeping the white space there. I'm thinking I might put a piece of pattern paper there, or I might not, and so I'm going to leave it there because it's easier to take it off later than it is to add a section later. So I'm just going to lay out these photos, and there I am again. I'm putting half the width of the border on the right side of these so that when I put them together it will look just as wide as the rest of the borders. I'm going to cut off the manufacturer's strip there, and I have turned the paper a little bit, and so I turned it 90 degrees, and so I'm putting a little note to myself for which side is up on those papers, because I don't want them to look like exactly the same paper side by side, so I just rotated it 90 degrees so that it looks like it has a bit of variation. And so now I'm just placing my block of photos, and I pulled out, these are just all of the pattern papers that I thought went with the background paper and with some of the colors in my photos, and I'm going to make large chunks out of these papers, and I'm going to have them span across the divide of this two-page layout, and that just helps it look more unified. Whenever I do a double page layout, I've talked about this before in process videos, that I always have a number of different elements span the divide, and that just helps it look more unified, like the two pieces go together. And so here I'm thinking about using this paper here, but I'm going to change my mind once I put some paper on the other side. So I'm just having a look at some of the options there. And I want to incorporate that blue floral pattern, but I'm not sure how I'm going to use it. I was going to use that chevron there from the Atlantic collection, but I liked it because it had a watery feel to it, but it was a little too competing with the other chevrons, so I turned it over and used the triangles, which I really like, but then the layout is a little bit unbalanced because it has a lot of gray in that triangle pattern, and it doesn't quite balance off nicely with those chit-chat speech bubbles on the other side. So I'm going to replace the speech bubbles with more of the triangle paper so that it's balanced, because the triangle paper does have quite a bit of gray in it. So I'm going to put that chit-chat paper in the open space on my white mat here, and so I'm cutting it at 4 by 6. And then I'm going to cut this little piece to match. It's going to take me a little bit to cut it to match. I measured it, but then I ignored my measurements and just cut it till I eyeballed it. And so I have to cut it a couple times. I'm not good at measuring, so I'm much better. I feel more comfortable eyeballing things and then just cutting bits and pieces off. So I want to use this. It says, remember that one time on this journaling card from the Hello Again collection, and that came in the kit as well. Pretty much everything except for the white cardstock and the extra piece of pattern paper came from the kit on this layout, and it's kind of blending in a little bit too much, so I'm going to mat it on this really dark teal paper that came in the kit, and that just helps it stand out a little bit. I'm pretty sure I'm going to put it there. Sorry, my head is in the way. This I think I have my camera set up in a slightly different position than usual here. Also, I have to lean forward. When I do a double layout, I'm much more concerned about things being symmetrical and lined up, and so I do have to get myself right over it to figure out whether it's lined up. So now I'm going to outline all of these pieces, and I'm outlining them as whole pieces, and then I'll cut them later, and that again helps it look unified across the page, across the span. So I'm doing this in a little bit of an awkward way. I'm kind of pulling out each piece and outlining it and then sticking each piece back, but it's just kind of the way that I feel comfortable doing it, and so it works for me. Going to trim off this piece. I trimmed it a little bit too much. I wish I had left a little bit more on this one, but I make it work. You got to make it work when you make a mistake. Oh yes, and at this point I had realized that the edges of this page were not, of this paper, were not straight. I had used scissors to cut this paper for a previous layout, and so I just had to square it off there with my trimmer. Now I'm going to outline the background paper, but I'm only going to outline it on 3 sides because I want to make sure that, again, it looks like it's one whole layout that spans the 2 pages, and so I don't want to put an outline going down the middle of it. So now I'm just going to place all my pieces back, and I'm going to play around a little bit with where these pieces are going to go so that they overlap nicely and look good together. I'm going to glue down my pieces of pattern paper. So I'm liking how this looks. I am going to end up pulling down 2 pieces of paper so that they extend below the matted pictures, and that just, I don't know, it just felt a little bit more balanced that way. I wasn't planning to do that. I was planning to have the matted photos kind of be the bottom layer on the bottom there. I want to use this Oh So Lovely die cut that came in the kit, and so I don't want to forget about it. I'm also going to use that denim flower from Maya Road that also came in the kit, and I really want to point out how happy my husband looks in this photo, so I'm going to use that arrow that came in the kit there too. That's from Freckled Fawn, and these cork embellishments that came in the kit are so much fun to use that I kind of had to use them. So now I'm going to start gluing down my background pieces, and this is easier if you do it all on one side, and then you can just use the first side to line up the second side. So I chose the side with fewer pieces on it as my starting point. So there, that's all down. There, and then once that side is down, and then this side doesn't, that piece of paper doesn't touch any of the edges that overlap, so I put that one down separate, but now I can just line each of these up fairly easily by just kind of lining it up with the other page. I don't have to do any thinking. Again, I'm sorry about my hat. I need to adjust my tripod for my next video. So I'm putting back some of those embellishments so I don't forget where I want them to go. I'm a little paranoid sometimes that I'm going to forget the best place for things, although they end up looking good wherever you put them anyways, but I want to remember where I wanted these things. So I did glue down the Oh So Lovely, and I'm going to do my journaling now. It says, we spent 2 days and one night at the Stevensons' cottage. We sailed on the bay, went swimming, looked at the stars, and had so much fun with great friends. And I just left my star in place there, the cork star, so that I was sure that I wouldn't be covering anything important. And now I'm just going to outline the elements that are on the white mat. Something I wasn't sure I was going to do, but I kind of felt like the photos in particular needed a little bit of a boost. I felt like they were kind of blending in with the white mat. So just outlining it with my Pitt pen. This is a Faber-Castell Pitt pen that I'm using because my Zig writer that I usually use is finally running out. Those things last forever, but well, not quite forever. They seem to last forever, but mine finally ran out. I think I had it for 2 years, maybe even 3. It's the second one I've had since I started scrapbooking, so they last a very long time. Now I'm using my white gel pen to go in as almost like a correction fluid, because I did go off the page and it looked bad. There was like some stray lines on the white mat, which I really didn't want there. And the white pen did a great job of covering it up. That's the first time I ever tried that. It just kind of occurred to me that my white gel pen would probably work a little bit better than whiteout. The whiteout is always so goopy and gross. I always have a hard time getting whiteout to work. So I just used some glue dots to adhere that denim flower. It's really pretty. I think it's from Maya Road, and it is really, really cute. It came in the kit. Fussed a little bit with the placement of that star. I'm not sure if it really mattered, but I wanted it just so. I am putting all of the embellishments down now. I'd like to use one of these bows, but I just can't figure out where to put it on this layout, so I decided not to. Pulled out the letters that came with the kit. These are Dear Lizzie Thickers. They are called Treasure. And then these are Jilly Bean Soup alpha beans. I'm going to change my mind here. At first I thought that I wanted Day and Bay to have a lot of impact, so I was going to put them in the darker color because I thought that would have more impact, but it turns out that the larger and more dimensional sticker has more impact, which I sort of should have known, I guess. But I had to try it out just to see. And so I'm using the flat stickers for the smaller letters, for the smaller words, and then the thickers for the words day and bay, which I did want to stand out, as I mentioned. So I'm just using my wax paper to figure out where I want to place these letters. And then I'll shuffle them around a little bit after they're on the page. They're quite forgiving, these stickers. They don't stick absolutely on the page the first time you place them. In fact, sometimes you have to really rub them to get them to stay or add extra adhesive. So I'm having a quick look at the stickers that came with the Cartabella Hello Again collection. This also came in the kit. And I picked out this one that says, what does it say? It says, see our friends, feel all right, see the sights. And I thought that was appropriate. And then I took some of the arrows and put them up above there, and then I took the best tag and put it under the star by my journaling tag there. And now I'm picking out some of the I always forget what those are called. Sequins. They're called sequins. My brain has a bit of like gap in it there where the word sequins belongs. So I'm actually layering a couple of them because they come in different sizes, and I thought that the navy blue sequins were a little harsh. They're very large, and so I layered the navy blue ones with a softer color over top. And then I'm just kind of sprinkling them, I guess, throughout the layout in the little clusters where other embellishments are. I'm using my glossy accents to attach them to the page. And I find that that works really well. They don't come off over time or anything. And I wanted to use these cork Studio Calico stickers that came in the kit as well. And I wanted to put one over there, but I couldn't get it looking the way I wanted it to. So I took it off. And now I'm adding some of these Studio Calico stars, which I haven't had a chance to use yet. On any of the layouts this month, so I wanted to make sure I got some onto this layout. And I thought just kind of sprinkling them around the title would be nice because there's so much space around the title. And then I put them in a few other places around my clusters as well. So now I'm just going to my stash and I'm getting a set of little tiny stickers. These are basically the smallest letter stickers I could find that were neutral. And I wanted to spell out "He looks so happy" here because I wanted to really point that out on this photo. And helps me use that little arrow sticker and kind of adds a little bit of interest to this one photo. This layout doesn't have a ton of embellishment on it, so this kind of gives me another point of interest that I can add to this layout because it's a fairly big layout. It spans the 2 pages, and so I want to give you lots to look at. I think that adding the letters on top of the photo also gives it kind of like a playful and more casual look, whereas the rest of the layout is very kind of linear and lined up. So I think that that's a nice balance. And so here's the close-up. You get to see the beautiful glitter on those thickers, which I love so much. And then that flare badge is just perfect with the anchor and the cork because I also used cork embellishments on this, so it just kind of comes together. And that's a photo that my husband took of the dock. And then there's the kids on the boat and those arrows and another cork arrow with the layered sequins. And so there will be some photos for you to look at the end. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and take care and have a great scrappy week.